Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanessa, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to have a unmedicated natural labor and delivery. I am currently 3 weeks postpartum, and I can say that I have had a successful VBAC, natural labor and delivery, without an epidural. 14 hours of the hardest day of my life. So just a little background, if you haven't watched my labor and delivery story, I'll post a card up here and down in the description box so you can watch it. But basically, I'm here today to share with you a couple tips and tricks that helped me in order to have a natural labor and delivery. Now, I'm gonna just put this out here right now. I'm not here to tell you that you can have a pain-free labor. Like, let's be real, labor is not pain-free. I know that there's a lot of videos out there promoting that you can by doing hypnobirthing and things like that, but it wasn't pain-free for me, I can say that. The tips I'm going to tell you today, doing these things and having these things really helped the pain level, and it allowed me to be able to actually have a natural labor and delivery and not have as much pain, you can say. So with my first son, I had like 3 epidurals, and the last one, which I think is a little bit different, like a spinal block, so that I was actually able to have a C-section. So this time around, with my second child, I wanted to do things differently. My first labor ended, with my first child, it actually ended up in a C-section because I didn't know anything about pain management, how to, manage a contraction, how to fight, not fight through it, but just work with my body. I didn't do any research the first time being pregnant, and my labor was just very hard. So this time around, like the moment I found out I was pregnant, I started doing a lot of research on ways to have a pain-free or just a smoother labor and delivery. So let's get into the video. I'm gonna stop rambling, and I'm gonna share with you my top tips and tricks to help you have a natural labor and delivery with the least amount of pain. The least. Let's get into it. Alright, so for my first tip, I'm gonna say prepare. So for the first tip is prepare your mindset. Do as much research as you can. Look up as many YouTube videos like you are right now on how to have a natural labor and delivery. Go to birthing classes. Do anything that you possibly can to figure out how to have a natural labor and delivery. So get in that mindset that it's what you want to do, because I truly believe that having a natural labor delivery is all mental. I watched a ton of YouTube videos, about probably 2 to 3 a day, about how to have a natural labor and delivery vlogs and birth stories, so that I can see how they did it and try to apply a couple things that they did in my own labor and delivery so that I can do the same. And I have to say that those type of videos really help, which is why I really want to make this video, so I can really help you. So the first thing, prepare your mind. Get in your mind that you want to have a natural labor and delivery. And I'm not just say you want to do, I'm saying prepare your mind, like doing the research. Actually, if you're gonna do hypnobirthing, like do the hypnobirthing. For me, a couple things that I prepared in my mind was like the epidural is not an option. Like, I'm just gonna pretend like there's nothing there. Like, there's no such thing as an epidural. And doing that really helped, because not once did I ask for it, and not once did it ever come up like, I can't do this, I want an epidural, because I just pretended like there's no epidural. I also tried to think like back in the caveman woman days, women were able to have a baby without medication. That this is natural, like this is what our body is meant to do and supposed to do. And thinking like that really helped, really helped, because it just prepared my mindset that this is something natural. I need to work with my body, not against it. Tip number 2 is have a strong support system. Now for me, with my first labor, I had a lot of people in the labor in my room, and I think that having a strong support system, and I'm not just saying having a lot of people around you so that they can cheer you on and stuff. I'm saying have a support system that you can really count on, that will be there to help you, not just be in the back saying what they think should be happening, what you're doing wrong, what should be, just have a strong support system. So for me, I had a midwife instead of an OBGYN, and I also got a doula. Now I know doulas are very expensive, and if you don't know what a doula is basically like a birth coach. So it's somebody that works for you, and they're there for you the whole entire time you're in labor. So from the start, like as soon as I got into triage up until the baby was born, and a couple hours after, the doula was there for me. And they work for you, so they're not there to promote epidurals, or they're there to support you and your birthing plan. So I highly recommend getting a doula, and I know that they can be expensive, $500 to up to $1,000, but I have to say, believe in blessings, because I found my doula for free. I went on doulanet.com and, you know, made a profile of everything that I wanted, and then somehow she found my profile. She emailed me and said that she would help me for free because she was a doula in midwifery school. So I just lucked out. So don't believe that you can't have it. Just try to do the right research and look around. Sometimes your hospitals will have doulas on sometimes your hospitals will have midwives that were a doula, and so having a midwife that was a doula is the same thing, because they will be able to help you in the same way that a doula can, even though they're a midwife. So, but if you can, I would highly recommend getting and hiring a doula, because you can really find somebody that connects with you and that you feel comfortable with, because they're going to be there. They're going to see everything, like everything, just like the doctors, and they will help you. They will massage you. Like my doula massaged me. She was, you know, for like 14 hours doing pressure points, or not 14 hours, but we could say about for 10 hours. She was, you know, physically there doing anything I needed, getting me water, you know, petting my head if I needed it, massaging my feet, putting pressure on my back. She was amazing, and I would highly recommend getting a doula. And then of course your significant other, your spouse, if you want your parents or your mom, I would just highly recommend getting a strong support system of people that support you and your birthing plan. So number 3, I would recommend looking into some natural products that you can use during your labor and delivery. And I'm talking about essential oils. Even though it's hard to think that oils will be able to help you out during labor and delivery, it got to a point in my labor when I was basically like right before my water broke, which was like 30 minutes before I started pushing. I started to get really nauseous, and I don't know if it was because I was in the tub and there was like hot water, but I used peppermint oil, and my husband actually just put it all over my face, and I remember I was holding it, and it really helped. It really helped the nausea go away. So I would highly recommend looking into maybe essential oils. There's a lot of essential oils that you can use, like lavender that helps with relaxation, peppermint that helps with nausea. There's like frankincense. There's a lot of different essential oils out there that you can look into and use throughout your labor and delivery. Who knows if they really work? For me, peppermint worked for me. I didn't even get to the lavender. I actually used lavender in the morning, early morning when I was like having the early contractions, and it did, I guess, relax me a little bit. Who knows? Another product I would recommend looking into is a birthing ball. Sometimes your hospital will have it depending on where you go, but a birthing ball really helps because you can sit on it and bounce on it to try to help move the baby down. You can have your legs wide open to try to get the baby to move down. You can bounce on it, and it kind of helps when you're in labor, because, you know, usually or at least with me, I wanted to sway my hips to, I guess, not think about the pain, and it helped being able to move my hips on the ball. So I would recommend a ball. Another product I recommend getting is a little miniature fan, which my doula actually brought, but it was like a little clip-on fan, and it would just help with the air blowing on my face throughout the contractions, because maybe or maybe not you will have control over your room temperature. I didn't know I had control over my room temperature until after the baby was born, because I was just like really hot and then I got really cold. So having the fan there was really awesome, because I could just turn it on and off whenever I felt like I was getting too cold or getting too hot. All right, tip number 4, and that is rest between your contractions. Now, I know it's hard to say rest or sleep throughout a contraction, because my nurse told me to try to rest or sleep during my contractions when I was 7 centimeters, but it's true. Rest throughout your contractions and don't give all your energy in one contraction. So if you don't know, the way that contraction works is you're not in pain the whole entire time. A contraction usually lasts for a minute to a minute and a half, I think. Some of mine were lasting longer, but it kind of goes in a wave. So you'll start, and the contraction won't be as strong, and then you'll get to the top and it'll peak, and that's when it's at its strongest, and then it'll come down, and then it'll fade away, and then it'll keep going like that. So you don't want to give all your energy and, you know, clench your fist and all that when you're like right here. If I were you, try to breathe throughout the contractions, and when I mean breathe, I mean relax. So when the contraction is over, try not to talk, and, you know, I mean, unless it really helps you and distracts you. For me, it didn't. I really needed to be like in a mental state of just relaxation, and I didn't want a lot of things around me going on, like TV or music. I just wanted to really focus. So being able to, you know, work with each contraction and rest in between. So in between the contractions, I would just breathe. If I needed to tell somebody something, I would tell them, but I didn't waste too much energy on that contraction and focusing on it, and I spent more time trying to relax and rest because I knew the next contraction would come and I would need that energy. And I also have to say, when you're going through those contractions, don't think about how many contractions you have left to come. Only think about the contraction that you're on right now. Don't think about how many more is to come. Think about that one. Focus on that one and focus on getting through that one. And that's why focusing on that one, getting over it, and having that period of rest, which is usually 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how far you are in your labor, recommend resting. It's tip number 5, and that is trying different positions. Now, I know if you have an OBGYN, sometimes, with my first one I had one and they didn't really promote me moving around, but I would recommend finding as many positions that you can be in to help you stay comfortable. Because if you're in a position for too long, sometimes the contractions get more intense, and moving to a different position sometimes helps. And it did for me. I tried like so many different positions. I tried standing and rocking my hips. I was on the toilet backwards. I was in a rocking chair rocking back and forth like this. I remember I was on my side with my leg hung over the bed to try to get the baby to like flip over. I was on a bouncy ball. I was in the bath. Like, I tried so many different positions. I actually delivered backwards on the bed. So like if the bed is like this and inclined, my face was this way, and it was kind of like hands and knees, but my hands were up here, and I was leaning over the bed, and then I delivered that way. So being in different positions really helps because it kind of takes your mind off of where you're at. And if you're just laying in bed for how many hours, like, you're not working with gravity, you're working against it, and I bet you it's gonna be a lot more boring just sitting there and I don't know. For me, moving around really helped. Like, I needed to be doing something different to try to help the contractions. And for me, laying on my back was the worst position and hurt the most. I had a lot of back labor, so I don't know if that was it, but even when it came to pushing and the doctor was like, get on the bed, I was like, no, I don't want to get on the bed, like, at all. Like, I almost like had the baby standing. I was standing for a while throughout those strong contractions, and then they wanted to check to see if I could actually push, and that was the only time I got on the bed. And as soon as they were done checking, I like sat up because I did not want to be laying on my back because it just hurt so bad. And I knew from watching these videos and watching labor and delivery videos that being on your back slows down the process, slows down because you're not working with gravity. Being in an upright position, like squatting, standing, hands and knees, works with gravity and helps the baby come down faster. And for me, I only pushed 9 times. That was 3 sets of contractions, so 3 pushes in each contraction, and she was out. So I don't know, but I'm saying it worked. Tip number 6, don't fight the contractions. So that means as you're going through your contractions, try to relax as much as you can. For me, with my first labor and delivery, I was like clenching my fists, my eyes, everything, my whole body was tense. So when you do that, you're actually fighting, you're fighting your body. Your body needs to be relaxed, and it's really hard. And when I was pregnant and watching videos like this and people saying relax, it's like, how the heck can you relax when you're going through that pain? But it really helps. And for me, all I would try to think about is just don't clench my fist. Like, that was the one thing, was like, don't clench my fist, because when I clench my fist, I clench my whole body. So for me, it was just, I would shake my hands like this and think about the energy and the contraction flowing out of my fingertips and my toes, because I didn't want to curl my toes or my hands because it would just make everything clench. I did get reminded to, relax the shoulders and breathe, and that really helps. So I would say don't fight the contraction, work with the contraction, know that it's natural and it's supposed to happen, and as it happens, just try to relax everything, your whole body, because if you do that, you're allowing just your uterus to work, not all your muscles, and you conserve your energy. That ties into tip number 7, which is to breathe. Breathing was like my holy grail. Like, I don't, like, my doula told me like I had the best breathing technique ever, which I told her I was like watching YouTube videos for that, but I really was. I mean, I watched 1 or 2 and I was just like, I'm probably not gonna remember how to breathe, but I just remember, the one thing I did remember is taking big inhales and letting them out slowly, relaxes the body, kind of like when you meditate, and that will help your body stay relaxed. So being able to breathe throughout your contractions is like the best. And if you focus on your breathing, then it kind of distracts you from the contraction. So for me, it was like 2 or 3 big breaths like that, and my contraction was already done and over with. So focusing on being able to take a big inhale and out really helped, because it also helped with the natural side, because I didn't want oxygen on. It was my first, I had an oxygen mask because I wasn't breathing, because I was like, ugh, the whole time. So being able to breathe allowed me not to have like an oxygen mask on, because I was getting enough oxygen to me, myself, and the baby. So remember your breathing, focus on your breathing, because that really helps. And I really believe that it makes your contractions less painful. So when people talk about less painful contractions, I would say that would be the best way to get that. Because when I wasn't breathing, like I did watch some videos and people said moaning helped, like and it didn't help me. Like for me, I felt like it hurt more because I wasn't able to get oxygen in, and it just wouldn't help. I started moaning towards the end because I was just like so tired and like wanting to cry because it was so hard. But breathing really helped my contraction, and for me it felt less painful when I was breathing and like and out. And I remember even at the end when I was pushing, it was really hard to actually do that, because it's like, how do you breathe like that when you're like grunting and having to push? But I just remember just doing that, just trying to focus on the breathing and not the contraction really helped. So breathe. Number 8, and that is stay hydrated. So you want to drink as much water as you can. Now I don't know if you're with the OBGYN, they might have different rules and whatnot, because I had a midwife. They told me to drink water. They said they told my doula to make sure I was drinking water, and asking me how much I was drinking, which was totally different than with my first, because with my first they didn't let me drink water at all, or food for I was in labor for like 3 days. They didn't let me drink water or eat, and I was eating ice chips, and that really sucked because I was super dehydrated, mainly because I had epidurals and they had probably fluid going through me. But stay hydrated. So if you're trying to have a natural labor and delivery, bring snacks, try to stay hydrated, drink as much water as you can, so that your body will be hydrated. And yeah, because when you're in labor, you don't think about eating and drinking, so making sure that you do, or having somebody there to remind you, will really help. All right, number 9, and that is create your environment. And what I mean by this is create the environment that you want to labor in. If that means having the lights dim, if that means you want music playing, if you want whatever you want, if you want a picture of a mountain to help you visualize something, create your environment. Because to progress faster, you need to be relaxed and calm, and because our body is like I said, like ancient, like in ancient times, if you know, we are cave women and you're about to have a baby and there's a saber-toothed tiger trying to eat you, your body will not release the oxytocin hormones that it needs for, you know, your labor and delivery and for the baby to come. It will go into fight or flight mode and it'll stop. So being able to create your relaxing, comfortable environment really helps progress labor faster, and I really found that helpful. For me, it was having the lights off. It was when I was in the tub. For me, it was in the tub, having the sound of the water running, because I was able to visualize like a waterfall and just go to my happy place. And then when the pain was getting bad, and when I was in the water and I was like going through transition right up until my water broke and right before I delivered, I was just like, go to my happy place, go to my happy place. I'm at the waterfall with my baby and my son and my husband, and it really helped visualize. So creating your environment any way that you can, with hearing, sight, smells, do that, because that will help you progress faster, it'll help you stay relaxed, and it'll just help you have an easier natural labor. At least hearing any sounds is because my son's over there playing, so try to excuse that. Tip number 10, and that's the last one, and I would just have to say is stay positive. Try to stay with an open mind and don't think about what's going to happen in the next hour, how fast you're progressing, where you're going to be at, how dilated you are. Just focus on the now. Focus on that moment, that contraction, that breath, and that'll really help you get through labor as fast as you can. Because I have to say, for me, having a midwife, they don't check you as often. They only checked me one time, and then the second time right before I pushed. And that kind of, in one way, it kind of made me mad, because I wanted to know how far I was, you know, how close I was and how far I was progressing. But when they told me that how far I was progressing. Because I remember at a point, it was like I was feeling a lot of pressure, and I literally felt I was at like 8 centimeters, and they told me I was only at a 6, which I went into labor at a 4, so I only progressed 2 centimeters in like 5 hours or something like that, and it really like took a toll on me and my confidence, and like, are you freaking kidding me? All this pain, and I've only dilated 2 centimeters, and it really, like, I remember I just gave them like a pissed off look, because I was so upset, and they're like, you're not happy about it? I was like, no. And later they told me this is why we don't check, because we don't want people to get discouraged, because it doesn't matter how far you are, because you can go from 0 to 100 in a matter of minutes. So I would just focus on that minute, that moment, that breath, that contraction, and focus on the now, because that will really help you and not mess with your mind. Because if you're like, oh, you know, I only progressed this far, it's going to take me 6 more hours, and I just want the epidural, you know. So if you're really trying to have a natural labor and delivery, focus on the now. Those are some of my top 10 tips and tricks that helped me have a natural labor and delivery. There's probably a bunch more that I can share with you, but I'm just going to try to compact it right there to make the video shorter. But I hope that these tips and tricks really helped you, and if they did, please comment down below what questions you have or anything that you want to know about my labor and delivery story. Again, it'll be in the description box and up here. But if you comment down below one of your fears or just something, so that I can help you out any way that I can, comment it down below. And I hope that you really enjoyed this video and you learned something, and you can take what I told you and put it to your labor and delivery, because I want you, whatever mom is out there watching this video right now, to be able to have the labor and delivery that you want. Because I know being able to do it the way that I wanted really empowered me, and I just felt so, I don't know, it was just a feeling that I can't explain, being able to do and have the natural labor and delivery that I wanted after having a C-section. So I'm just, if you're pregnant out there, I hope that you have the labor and delivery that you want. I hope that you learned something from this video. If you did, please don't forget to like this video, and please don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video like this. I'm almost 4 weeks postpartum, so I'll be getting back to those fitness videos very soon. But make sure you check out all my other videos on this channel, because I have a lot of mommy videos during my pregnancy on the channel. So I think that's all. I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.